Are we good to go?
Yeah, I am.
Do you want me to introduce you?
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
know. No, we don't
I
have
think
to
this would be
use
fun.
our.
I get to introduce you for a change.
No, come on, we don't have to
You're the
use
founder. All right.
that. People know
Well,
us already.
I'm here with Jürgen Schuster, and this is the first time I get to do this, but I'll be introducing Jürgen on this video. And normally Jürgen and I do the podcast together for Apex, but this is a special recording we're doing specifically around Apex World. And Apex World is a site by the community for the community, and the person behind it is Jürgen Schuster. So Jürgen, please tell us a bit about Apex World.
Yeah, first let me correct you. I'm not the person behind it. We have a large team by now. It was my idea and I set it up, but right from the beginning we had a lot of people helping us to get this out in such a short time. But thanks, Martin. Thanks. We already had the live launch on the 19th October, but there was no recording back then, and maybe it's not that bad because right now we can re-record everything and we have a real production live data, and we can show everything now live on the production version, and we have real data and lots of improvements. So maybe let me start. What is Apex World? What was the idea behind it? I had this idea for many years, and I talked to Joel last DOAC, just a year ago, about the idea when we drove back from Nuremberg to Munich, and he encouraged me and said, yeah, go ahead. If you need anything, let me know. I help you. Get the space on apex.oracle.com. I planned to host it there. But then it was a very busy year and I had no time to start it. But when I heard this historical speech of Joe, which he held on Kscope this year, it's still this year, and it was so inspiring, and I decided, okay, it's now or never. Now I have to do this, and I told some people about the idea, like Dan, and Dan immediately said, okay, I help you out whatever you need. If you have technical question, let me know, and I'm in. Yeah, I'm helping you whenever you need something. And the same was Mark. We talked to Mark after that, and everybody said, yeah, it's a great idea. Let's do it. So we started with a very small team, and we ended up now with a much bigger team. So developers are Michael Dürbeck and Daniel Hochleitner, Adrian Ping, and Dan, of course. Without him, this site wouldn't even exist. Same goes for Carsten Charsky. And you, Martin, you brought in the idea of plugins. Without your idea, we wouldn't even have plugins, right? You supposed it to have it in Apex World, but I think you can remember my first reactions. I said, oh no, that's too much for the first release, right?
It's kind of like a lot of our conversations. We start off with a disagreement.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, we had a discussion about the plugins and just shifting it away from the current model behind a site. I think everyone in the community wanted to see an upgrade on it, whereas the rest of the development community was going in a different direction. But the more important thing is, as you mentioned, there's so many different people that are involved with this site. And that's really what makes it interesting. Is it's not just one person's vision. You're the person behind it, really gathering up the troops and pushing everyone into the right direction. But there's a lot of discussion that goes on behind the scenes. So before something actually gets integrated into Apex World, it's vetted by a lot of different people. And what comes out as the start idea is not necessarily what we see on Apex World. And that community integration is a really cool opportunity to get all the different feedback from everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And we also had a lot of help from the Rex guys, Tim Oswig, Nathan Catlow, helped us with the security, of course. And every time Dan hit the ground and couldn't go on. He got help from Chris Neumüller for the very complicated stuff and session handling, which we have. And yeah, so it's a big team. We have behind a lot of supporters. Also, Trent is helping us, and Scott Wesley is helping us. So we are.
And that's Trent Schaefer and Scott Wesley, both from Australia, and those guys. Yeah.
Exactly.
Not everyone knows all. That's why I'm trying to fit in some of the last names.
But that's the good point. If you are active in apex.world, and I show you the Slack integration later, the whole point is that we bring the community even closer together, right? And this is what really happens. If you can chat to these guys, asking questions, they answering immediately, and this is the whole point. So now you feeling. I want to create this feeling I got from Kscope this year in Miami, still this year, where you really have the feeling it's a family gathering, right? And this is the first time I had this feeling that I could say, okay, I'm part of this Apex family, and there's no difference if you are a newbie, which I was. I attended the Kscope for the first time, but not the last time. I already booked the flight for next year. And if you are from the development team, or if you are ACE director, or I don't know, if you are Tom Kite, I talked to Tom all too. So we all on the same level. Everybody's so approachable, and it feels like, oh, we are one big family, and we all do Apex, and this is the feeling I think we can create, or we can enhance through apex.world too, to bring this community even closer together, which they are right now.
Absolutely, and I really like how you talked about it. So those that have never been to Kscope, it's a great conference, one of probably the best technical Apex and Oracle conference out there. But there are a lot of people. There are a lot of big names out there, and there's a lot of new people each year. And it's really interesting to say that your first Kscope conference, though, you felt like you already knew most of the people. Yeah. And I think for now, people have known you for a while. It might be the first time you're actually meeting in person. I think that might have been the first time we met in person. I can't remember.
We have met in the Netherlands before.
Oh, we met. Yes, that's true. That's true. It's for a lot of people, it's the first time they're seeing these. And if that's your first introduction, of course, there's that awkwardness of, hi, I'm so-and-so, etc. Twitter has helped out a lot with that. And I think apex.world is now really looking to close that gap of really reaching out to peers in your community that's outside of your work. You don't, I mean, you get to know your colleagues very well. Now you get to know the international community. And if you get the opportunity to go to one of these conferences, and I strongly encourage everyone to do, you break down that initial barrier of the introduction, because you already know that person. You can say, hey, I've already had that Slack conversation. I can message on Slack, and we'll talk about Slack soon. But you could say, hey, I'm going to Kscope, who's coming? And you might recognize 3 names. So instead of going there and being that shy person in the corner that doesn't know anyone, and that happens, you can now know a few people out there and really help build your network. And I think that's the real strong point with apex.world in regards to community involvement. It's more than just technology in that sense. It's also getting the networking opportunity and then enhancing it at a conference or a meetup or any sort of social gathering of people.
Yes, and this is what inspired me to do this project right now. So you mentioned Twitter. We asked on Kscope how many people are actually on Twitter, and I guess it was only 20%. Right?
Yeah, the numbers are low.
Yeah, very, very low. And it's the same result for Apex Connect and other conferences. If you ask how many people are on Twitter, maybe you have 20% hand raises. And the problem is, I figured out that I try to get the latest and greatest content of Apex blogs and news every day and store it in Evernote, which I still do every day. but it's not that easy. You have to follow a lot of people, or sure, you can go to follow a blog aggregator. I know, you can follow the blog aggregator. Yeah, but it's just the blogs then. But you will soon start to follow other people, and I would say the communication channel is Twitter, right? Do you agree? I think this is that's the communication channel. So if you start with Twitter, you have to follow some people, and maybe you start with Joel, of course. Why shouldn't you follow Joel, and then people you know, and very soon you get a timeline of private people you know privately, and the business people you know, and you want to listen what they have to say, and they not only post business relevant stuff. So they also post, hey, I bought a ticket for this conference, for this concert, and look at my nice holiday photos. Sure, that makes sense if you have followers who are privately interested in you. So what I want to say is you get a very big timeline, and it's not that easy to find out the relevant bits of information for you, which is relevant for Apex.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
So I'll tend to disagree with you there. And I do want to take a step back. So if you're listening to this and you're one of the 80% in the Apex community or the Oracle community, it's probably even larger than 80% that aren't on Twitter. Sign up to Twitter, because it's going to be one of the quickest sources of information for you to get content out there. And as Jürgen said, there's ways that can flood your stream with people do post some of their personal things. However, I think most of the people in the Oracle as a general space don't post too much personal stuff. There's a lot of good content there, a lot of good discussions. However, the real question is, I just signed up for Twitter. How do I get started? And you're saying, well, follow Joel Kalman or follow Jürgen Schuster. And I'm just looking at some of these names, the Argo. There's all these great people to follow, but you don't know about that. Right? You don't know any of this. You're just new to Twitter. You don't know these people. The one thing to follow, and this is why I disagree with there's a lot of noise out there, is you can follow people both by their name, and that's following directly, or by a hashtag.
Yes.
And hashtag of ORCL Apex, that is where the starting point is. And if you follow that as a stream, yes, and here again showing it off, if you follow hashtag ORCL Apex, aside from anything else, and you can just search on that, you can use different Twitter clients to stream it, that will give you a much more condensed thing of just Apex content. And one of the first things I do, like you said, you put everything in Evernote. I only put certain blog posts in Evernote, but most of what I do in the morning though is I get up and I use TweetDeck, so all my Twitter streams are in different columns that I want. One of the first columns I have, and it's the one if I'm really short on time, is I read first all the time, is the ORCL Apex. And that really, because people have been using that properly and we're not spamming it, it's very Apex focused.
Yeah, it is.
I can get all my information, and there you could decide as a user, who do I want to follow? So you might follow, first of all, I'd highly recommend like the Apex blogs. Every single Apex blog that's out there, you don't have to go look for it. We'll give it to you, sort of thing. And then there's some great people, Joel Kalman, Helly from Helen. No one can pronounce her last name. Adrian Ping. I'm just scrolling through some names here. Tobias Arnold. These are all people you can follow, and you can choose to unfollow them too. I followed some people before that had a few interesting posts, but then 90% of their content was, look what I ate for breakfast and look what my dog's doing. Yeah, they're nice people, but it's too much to clutter up my regular stream. So I'll just see their posts directly coming in on the hashtag Apex. However, there are people that post a lot of good content, not all the time with Apex. So for instance, Jeff Smith and Chris Rice, they post a lot about SQL Developer and
exactly.
I follow them.
This is what I meant. You finally end up to follow, I don't know, I follow now more than 50 people, and they create a lot of content. And don't forget you're a nerd, Martin. You have this TweetDeck and more streams in parallel. I'm talking about the normal people who even don't know what Twitter is or have heard of it, but maybe people like me, I'm just using Twitter with the browser. This is it. I want to keep it small and simple. And,
So, Jürgen, let me, you know what I think about this.
I know
I think you're going to know where I'm going on this. We're in 2015. Time to upgrade. It's great.
Yeah.
Look, if you're at home and you're busy, you don't have time, and that's all you do, but you're a professional in this space. It's your job to offer clients what you think is your best advice. And you can't know everything, right? It's impossible to know everything, but it is your duty to try and stay up to date. And that's the industry we're in with what's going on. And if you can have a tool that you can use that helps you get 80% of the good relevant content, and you might miss 20%, and that's fine. Rather than the tool, if you're using just twitter.com, you're only probably going to see 10% of the content out there, and you're probably going to get a lot of noise. It's time to upgrade the tool.
Totally right.
You're using the wrong tool.
Actually, it's solved with apex.world, the whole problem. And we're still talking about these. I wouldn't even say 80%. I would say 95% of the people who don't get this valuable content, which comes out every single day, and which I scan through all the tweets and have a quick look. Is it interesting for me? And then I put it into Evernote and tag it somehow that I can find it again. So, and I know personally a lot of people who don't want to get involved into Twitter, and I totally understand that, normal people. Yeah, but that's one of the points, or the main point why we decided to create apex.world. So you don't have to have a Twitter account. You get all the information, the relevant information. You can have a look once in a week, and you're totally fine, and you don't miss anything.
Okay, so now we're talking about that. Why don't you show a demo of it?
Yeah,
and this is, by the way, this is if this is the tool you're using to get your content, then that's fine. That's the sort of thing I was going off the tangent of. You've got to use the right tool to get data.
Exactly. So
right?
apex.world is not for the 5% people, which you guys are, the nerds. Let me call you nerds. Because you know each other very well, and you talk to each other, and you immediately know who is working on what subject, and you got all the blogs, and but it's for all the other people. And right now we have over 800 people in apex.world registered. I don't know how many are not registered, but let's say we talk about 1,000 people. And I would say we have around 50 active contributors in the Apex realm posting content. And maybe 50 is really a lot. And maybe even less, let's shrink it down to 20 people where you find something every week, right? So compare it to 1,000 people we have already registered. And I think when we look at the meetups, we have 1,400 people in meetups. So what about the other 98%, right? And this one, for these guys, I invented, our team invented this site. And let me just show you this site.
So in other words, to summarize, if you don't want to go on Twitter, if you don't want to actively participate in the community, you still owe it to yourself almost to stay active in the knowledge base. And this is where apex.world comes into play.
Exactly.
So there's really no excuse why you shouldn't be using it.
So let's start here. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it. So we're on what, the home page right now, right?
Yeah, we're on the home page, which is called the dashboard. And we have 3 panels, as you can see. The left panel, latest on Slack. You have different Slack channels. It's just monitoring what's going on Slack, and which I tell you in a minute. And in the middle pane, we have the news section. And on the right side, I have exactly what Martin mentioned. I'm searching for every content where also Apex, which is the hashtag. If you post anything about Apex, you should use this hashtag. Same goes for also apex.world, which is our hashtag for this project. So it's listed here. You don't have to have a Twitter account. You can just watch yourself, or you say, okay, I don't want to deal with that. Let me have a look at the end of the week if something is interesting came out in this week. So, and this is what the whole news section is about. I go through all the content and read it through a little bit, and then I decide, okay, is it relevant enough to put it in the news section? So there is a little filtering going on. What should be in the news section? And it's always the same format. You see who is the guy who posted the content, and I write 1 or 2 sentences at most that you can have a real quick information. What is this all about? Is this relevant for me or not? Without even going through some information, click on it, read something, and then say, okay, after reading the first paragraph, okay, that's much too complicated, or I'm not interested right now. And therefore, we have stuff like tags. So if you say, oh, I'm upgrading to Apex 502, for example, let me see what's out with Apex 502. And oh, are there any bugs? So let's do bugs. Oh yeah, there is one bug out for Apex 502. Let me see if I ran into the same bug. Yeah, this is how the text is working. And thanks to Nick Beitart, who just adjusted his nice plugin right now just for apex.world. So another contributor. And we also have, this is very valuable for me, this beginner checkbox. If you click beginner, you only see informations which are relevant or understandable for beginners, because that's the other problem. If you're not an Apex Pro, which 90% I think are, then you are not interested in all the complicated solutions, and but you are very interested in things you really understand and you can use right from the beginning, right? So you can leave this on and see only stuff which is relevant for beginners. And of course, you can favorite some informations, which I do, and you can mark informations as red, then it vanishes immediately. But you can bring it back if you say, okay, show me the red messages too. And then
those features are only for people that are logged in, right?
Yes, thank you. This is one feature. Of course, how can I store it for you if I don't know you? In general, you don't have to log into Apex. You don't have to register. But one of the benefits, if you register, then you can use this functionality. Not the beginners. The beginner and the tags are working without registering, and search, of course, is working without registering, but the other 3 checkboxes, you have to be registered, right?
Yeah, and for those that are hesitant to register, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Jürgen, the real concept behind registering, we're not trying to spam you with anything. No. It's to give you this advanced functionality, and the only way we can do it is to know who you are. Exactly. There's also Slack integration. All of this happens only because you register, so we don't harass you or anything.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
and there will be much more benefits. I'll show you in a minute when you are registered.
And one other thing that maybe I can point out is on the difference between the news and the Twitter stream. And I don't know if you saw it pop up, Jürgen, as you were clicking around, but the Twitter stream is the live feed. It's what's happening right now. Yeah. I just posted a quick thing on Twitter saying this is a test with Jürgen, and it automatically popped up there for you. So that's live. And if you want to see what's happened in the last week, you just scroll down, etc. The news actually gets filtered by, for right now, you're doing this, right?
Yeah.
So that's someone who's highlighting everything that comes out and finds relevant. So there's a human, how would I say it? It's human filtered on the news section.
Exactly. So the only policy we have, a strict policy we have, we only publish English speaking content on the news section. But other than that, that's the whole benefit for human selection. If I think it's relevant for everybody, and if you come back once in a week, and see, okay, what's new on Apex in the Apex world, and I think I have 2 or 3 news every day. So let's say around 10 a week. And even if you are away for 2 weeks, it's pretty easy to catch up. Just go through the news section, right?
Yeah.
And we also have these sites. When I open the home menu, I have, for example, news only. That's the only thing we did really for mobile use. If you say, okay, I want to use it on my mobile device, you can just have the news section, and which is then, of course, responsive, very responsive. We always, what you see is the universal theme, of course, and Shakib helped us to make it as beautiful as he could do, starting with my design. So it's still my design, and he would have a totally different user interface, but yeah, that's a compromise. Yeah, let's put it this way. And that's the only thing we did for mobile optimization. Then I would say let's start with the most, with the most impressing and important thing, or no, let's start with the registering process. So if you are a register, you can, oh yeah, let me sign out first, and then do registering. Here, this is all what we need to have from you. It's all HTTPS, so it's secure. You can give us passwords. Then we have subscribe to newsletter. We are planning to bring out a newsletter, I don't know, maybe every month, maybe every 2 months. Right now, we just working on the functionality to bring it out. So this is another benefit. If you're registered, you will get a newsletter every month or so. But you can unsubscribe anytime. And a very important thing, Slack, which I'll show you in a minute, the only way to get in the Oracle Apex Slack community is through apex.world. So you have to be a member of apex.world to get a login into Slack, which I'll show you in a minute. And which is interesting for us is are you a meetup organizer? Because we have now more than 30 meetups around the world. And it would be interesting to know all the meetup organizers so that we can communicate to you if we have a new idea about meetups. So this is it, basically. And after that, let me log in again. No, that's not right. I hope I know my password. The good thing is you only have to register. You only have to log in once in a year on your device. So we set a 1-year valid cookie, and once you have registered, you come back next day. Right now, the session is expiring. It's still expiring, but Chris will work on that. We have problems of the rejoin sessions with public pages, and so ideally you shouldn't be bothered. You could have this homepage on for a year without have to reload or without have to log in again. Right now, the session will be expired in 12 hours, I think, but you can reload and you don't have to log in again. Yes, but after the login process, you get redirected to your profile. And that's interesting. So you can tell us more in a second step. You don't have to. You see all the fields that are mandatory. But one thing is, if you don't want to see, anybody want to see your email, fine, just check this checkbox. Nobody will see your email. You can unsubscribe the newsletter. You can tell us, are you a freelancer or are you a company? If you're a private person, you don't have to check anything. This is interesting later. I'll show you in a minute. And are you a meetup organizer? Are you an ACE? and what kind of A's are you, and then you can upload, and you should upload your profile picture and your time zone, because then you see all your the news information in your time zone, and you know, oh, this 5 minutes ago that this information was posted. The next step will be the job profile. Let me go there. There you can, if you want to share your skills with the community or with people who are looking for employees, then you can fill out your job profile, but it's not actually only for a job. If you don't want to fill out your availability, it's totally fine. If you just want to tell the people, where are you? Where are you located? Are you willing to travel if it comes down to a job? And where are you? How far are you willing to travel? Then the next section is the skills section, right? And right now I have a little background noise. Okay.
Oh, sorry, that was me.
Oh, okay. Okay, it's off. Thanks. So we decided to use this slider. It's always, we have this general skill for Apex, you have general skill for Oracle, you have general skills for web development. And we only say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or more than 10 years. See it more as a percentage slider. It's not, of course, there are people out there who has 20 years of Oracle skill, but we think then after 10 years, more than 10 years, and we're talking about not when have you ever heard about this technology, real consecutive years of working in this technology. If you work more than 10 years in a technology, you should be a kind of a pro, and it shouldn't be relevant for filtering for jobs anymore. And right there you have, under the general skill, you have more specific skills like Apex Mobile, dynamic action, stuff like that. And when you go here over, you have this tooltip, and no experience has, you have never touched this. Beginner says you have real practical experience, you did it once or twice. Experience means you're using it regularly on your daily job, and pro means you know really everything about it. So be careful with pro. We also have this information button on every region. And I give you here some examples. For example, Roel Hartman, who wrote the book about mobile development, I would consider him a pro. So I leave the pro button for the people who are really pros in a section. For example, I'm working with Apex consecutively for more than 10 years. And the only section I would consider myself as a pro is dynamic actions, because I have the site, dynamicactions.com, and I do presentations about it. I would say I knew almost everything about dynamic actions. Everything else, I wouldn't consider myself as a pro in Apex. So you can also have comments, and down in this section, you don't have to fill out this. If you're not a freelancer, then you don't have to fill your availability for the next year. For the next year, it's always the next 12 months. And if you can also register as a company, if you have checked the checkbox, I'm a company, then you have here an additional field, and you can fill in the people you have in your company. If you are a consulting company, you have 5 people available, then write down, okay, we have 5 people and they're available 50%, right? Okay, here you can change your password and stuff like that.
Yeah, Jürgen, just one thing on the job profile. And by the way, I apologize about the background noise. That's actually my heating system in the house. It's -20 this morning out here. I just shut it off. If you want to talk about nerdiness, as soon as you said that, I went on to I have a Nest, so I didn't even bother going upstairs. I just went online and shut her down. So hopefully it will turn off. Yeah, there, it turned off finally.
It's fine.
So the job profile, just one thing is, and I think you try to emphasize on this, just be honest. I think the people, if I'm looking to hire someone on this, or we're looking at someone's job profile, and if I see pro across everything, even if I know the person, I'm probably going to question that's probably not true.
Yes.
And I think people being honest with it, don't undersell yourself either. Don't say, well, I don't have any books out there, I don't have a website, I don't have a blog, but I've been doing this for this site, for this company for 10 years, and I know everything about dynamic actions. Then put a pro. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to have all of that. Just be honest. And I think hopefully if people stay honest with this, we're not trying to create the next monster workopolis where people overinflate things. If you have an honest things here, we're going to get honest results, right? And that's the only thing. And hopefully the community will filter it down. If we see people that are overinflating it, maybe there's going to be a feedback system in the future saying this is not true, and we'll weed it out.
I don't think there will be a feedback system, but it's not a good point to start to overrate yourself. This is a clear measurements. They say, have you practical experience? Not I read something or heard something about it. Have you ever done it? So I have written one plugin in my life so far. Sorry, Carsten. But it was a very nice plugin, and my customer is using it all over the place. And so I have some insights, practical insights in plugins. So I consider myself as a beginner, even if I follow everything which is relevant for plugins. But everything else, like user interfaces, yeah, I can do a lot, change everything which I like, and the way it should look at the end. But I'm not a pro like Christian Rokita, for example. He's doing this for his living. He has Apex themes.
Yeah, it's apex-themes or something.com. I can't remember.
Themes, I don't know. He's in the info section too. Let me look it up. So he has Apex themes. Yeah, exactly. So he's doing this stuff for his living. He's doing themes, right? So he knows really everything about it. And I worked with him, so I know him personally, and he's a pro, and definitely. But yeah, you said it. Be honest, because it's not a good point to start because other people know you, and yeah, you should be honest.
And there's nothing wrong with being
always. Why shouldn't you be honest?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong. Like for instance, I know I just to be open with this, I'm looking at my profile and I put experienced on CSS, and essentially it comes down to I know enough to do some damage, but I also know enough that I don't know enough, right? And you need to know. So I find sometimes when you start off with technology, you think you know a lot of things, but it's only when you know a lot of things do you know how much you don't know.
Exactly.
And in CSS, I'm one of those areas. And for instance, I was having a problem with, we were looking at something at Insum, and there was some really technical CSS. And I eventually said, look, this is out of my league. We've got a guy here, Vincent Morneau, who's really good at CSS. Why don't we hand it off to them? And that's the sort of thing, there's nothing wrong with that. Be open about it, that you can't possibly be a pro at everything. There's just no way. And if you're open with it, and that's what people are looking for, saying, okay, you know enough to get by, and then hey, maybe we can find a pro just for that small little area that we need.
Yeah. And if you're not sure if you're a pro in user interfaces, just have a quick talk to Shakib, and I'll tell you, yeah, you will rate yourself down. Believe me.
After I talked to him, I just put no experience on it.
So let me go on with the job market. Right here you have find available developers. This is for companies who are looking for people, right? And we have here a lot of filters. You can filter by country, let's say Germany. And it's also filtered, and you can say, okay, I only want to see available developers right now, right? For the next period, or let's say working the overall skill should be more than 7 years, so it shrinks down. Only available developers for at least it has to be available for the next 12 months somehow. And we also have this detail filters, which are exactly the same. You entered, so you can really look for people all over the world who has the exact skills you're really looking for a project, for example. And we also have this now, this is pretty new, on a map. So you see all the people, the developers on a map, which is Oracle map, of course. So same filtering system. No, it's the same filtering. We only have, no, yeah, we have the same filtering system like we have without a map. So you can see actually visually the location where the people are. And we have job offers. So we have right now more than 10 job offers, permanent and contract. And just have a look. If you are looking for a job, here is the place to look for a job. And everybody who is looking for an Apex developer, just post a job here. And if you have any problems, to let me know. I have to confirm this anyway. I get an email every time you post a job offer, and I will contact you personally because it's a public site. You don't have to log in to post a job offer. So I have to be sure that this is real. And I'm sure I'm helping you if you need anything about, if you need help about job offerings. Yes, so this, and yeah, let me go back to the beginners. It's still, it says coming soon. It's not true anymore. I think the whole thing is for,
Jürgen, can we touch just quickly on the job market area?
Yeah.
And I don't want to make too much of a deal with this, but there was some concern about this when we first put it up there of, will this turn into a job site? And I don't think that's the case. We're not looking to be, again, the monster workopolis for Apex. However, it is a site that will help people find the right match. And the Apex community, unfortunately, it's a small subset in this large development world almost. If you ever try and look for a job in Apex, first of all, Apex is also a word used for Salesforce, which only complicates things more. It becomes very hard to both find a job and also find developers for that. So if you're posting a job, you're going to get all these random people. What this really allows people to do is connect people within a community. So it's pretend you're part of an association almost. And it almost filters a bit of that, because that means someone has taken the effort to either post that they're looking for work, and someone's also taken the effort to say, hey, we want people within this community. So by doing that, I think we're A, filtering down that list, and B, is just putting people together and saving everyone's time. But again, this is not, I don't think this is the primary thing of Apex World. Some people got that misunderstanding when we first discussed the job market. That, hey, this is a job site. No, it's a site for the community, by the community, that just happens to have jobs on it.
Yeah.
And it's there to help. It's not there to steal people away.
It was actually a very late idea. I had, I think, 3 weeks before we planned to go live. That it would be a good idea if we have the people and register people and we know their skills. Maybe why don't we get their availability, and then people can search for developers, and then one thing come to the other. And so the problem is I get calls from headhunters every 2 or 3 months. And he's asking me, I got your name from somebody, and I heard you're an Apex developer. And I said, yes. And then he starts explaining everything about this new project. And after 10 minutes, I have to disappoint him and say, yeah, everything is nice, but I'm under contract right now. And then he asked me, oh yeah, do you know somebody else who can do this? And I said, yeah, I know a lot of people, but I'm not sure if they are available. And the people I know personally, I know they are on contract too, and they are very disappointed. And a lot of people telling me it's very hard to find an Apex developer out there. And I can't believe that, because we are so many people. I think it's just a matching problem. It's not an availability problem. And this is what should help the recruiters and people who are looking for a job to find the right match. Right? That's all. So we have no plans to enhance this with certificates or I don't know, or CVs or something like that. So it should be pretty easy. Just like the way it is, it's perfect.
Yeah, and the other thing too that's important, going back to the whole premise of this site, it's for the community by the community, and people in the IT world have a love-hate relationship with headhunters, and there's some really good headhunters out there. There are also some that are very persistent and just spam the area. And I think this way, if you look at it, you can actually see who's posting the job.
Yes.
Which individual. You can't hide behind a bigger mask. You can see the company. I mean, you could even see, I'm just looking at, you see some people's cell phone numbers. So we're trying to keep it as open of a process as possible.
Exactly.
In that.
So let me go back to the one menu, the beginners section. This is what I want to do. I want to help, especially beginners, because I think we now have a very active community. And I think only 10% of the community knows about the community and is really involved in the community. And I think 90% of the people who don't, for example, have a Twitter account, who don't visit conferences or are not able to go to conferences, they are not really aware of this vivid community we have here. And I talked to a guy from Turkey, and he asked me, how can I get involved with Apex? I heard about it, and I heard your name. He saw the stickers from me, and I said, yeah, but how do I start from the scratch? I have no Oracle skill, I have no Apex skill, but I'm really interested to get into this technology. And this section, I'm planning it to do it during the holiday seasons on Christmas. So I want to help people to how to start as a developer, but also for managers. If you are a project manager in a company and you have different technologies, you have to decide. Let me tell you what Apex is about, and is it interesting for you, and what pros and cons does Apex have comparing to other technologies. So this will be another post right about Apex for managers, and then I will explain everything on a beginner's level. That's very important to me. It's not because there's so many documentations and blog posts out there. I really want to focus on beginners. What is Apex, the architecture of Apex? What about all the themes, templates, theme rollers, universal theme, my goodness. What is this all about on a very low level? I hope I bring some out after the holiday season on Christmas. So this the second part, job market, we talked already about it. Yeah, let me go through and let me put then Slack on the end, because this is a very interesting part of the whole Apex world. The next thing, we have meetings. So we have the big conferences. There was a DOAG. We just deleted DOAG, well, it deletes itself. It ended last week. And you see all the big conferences in the world, and we say big conferences, it should have at least somewhere around 20 Apex presentations. So here we have listed all the Apex conferences, Apex Connect or Kscope. You can click on it, and here we go. We go to the homepage of Kscope, which I will attend next year.
Now, one thing, and I'm gonna put a plug in for Kscope, is and we said this on the live, the launch party. Yes. We'll do it on this recording. If you're looking to go to Kscope 16 and you're looking to register, you can we have a special discount for Apex World members. Just enter in the word Apex World, all one word, all uppercase, no period in between, and you'll get, I think it's about $100 off or something. So that's a special deal we've arranged with Apex World.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. And the next thing is the meetups. Right now, if you know the site apexmeetups.com, it doesn't exist anymore. So it redirects automatically here. It's the same functionality. We have now 31 meetups. You see, where are they? We have 1,400 members. And here you see all the meetups which are in your area. And if there is no meetup in your area and you think you have a couple of people around your place who want to meet up personally every once in a while, here is a how-to set up a meetup. And now let me give it back to you, Martin. I think ODTAC is sponsoring the meetup creation too, right?
Yeah, so for people that don't know what ODTUG is a very large international Oracle user group, and they're the ones who put on that conference Kscope 16. Full disclosure, I'm a director at ODTUG, so that's why I heavily promote it. Besides the fact I think they do a great job. For meetups, one thing, what we're trying to do with ODTUG is really help the community grow in any aspect that we can. And so for the Apex side, one of the best ways we found is helping sponsor and foster these meetups. If you're interested in creating them, please, I think there's a link to my email on that how-to section. Yeah. Send me an email and we'll help sponsor your meetup. That said, I can tell you this lately, this map is not fully updated. I know we've had several requests come in from Africa, and we've sent out money over there to help sponsor some meetups there. All across the world, it doesn't matter where you are. All you have to say is we're starting an Apex meetup, and we'll help sponsor the event. We want to help everyone grow.
And if you want to get listed here, just write me an email. You can write me an email. You can use the feedback. You can use this the contact button, whatever, and I put you up on the meetup list. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, what else do we have? Yeah, live webinars is another thing I have in my mind. It's not on yet. The whole thing about this is there are so many excellent presentations out there. Now you see we have Apex-only conferences already, like the apex.world in Netherlands or Apex Connect in Berlin next year. These are all Apex-only conferences, and not only the Apex-only conferences, also Kscope, we have more than 40 presentations. So we have very, very good presentations out there. And I think people don't have a chance to repeat them regularly or bring this valuable content to a broader audience. So this is an area where we try to find very good presentations about certain topics, and we just publish them there. Or you have, I don't know, maybe we get rid of the email. It's just not on right now. We put your presentations on this list, and people can ask you, for example, for a meetup. If you have a small meetup and you cannot come up with a presentation on your own every time, you can look through this report and find a topic that's interesting for you and contact the person if he wants to give a live webinar for you, or in a project if you're dealing with a certain technology and you want to look for a professional who already did a presentation on this subject. You can contact him and you can do a live webinar in a project meeting, for example. So this will come up soon, hopefully. Yeah, very interesting part, plugins. We talked about already, about plugins. Let me invoke it. And you see we have a lot of plugins already here. People are not satisfied, we're not satisfied about the plugins hosting so far. And we had a long discussion going on, should we integrate plugins in apex.world? And it turned out, yeah, we want, but only if it is professional hosted. Let me tell you an experience I had just a couple of weeks ago. We wanted to upgrade to Apex 5, of course, and we used a plugin in almost every our projects, the same plugin, but it was not upgradable to Apex 5. I couldn't contact the developer; he's not available anymore, so it was pretty hard to get out this plugin and replace it with an own solution. So we decided to have some kind of a threshold to say, okay, when do we consider plugins to be professionally? So we decided if it is hosted on GitHub, it's not that easy to host this on GitHub. It's an open source. Everybody can contribute. You can fork it. If you have a plugin from this developer, then you really you rely on this plugin. You don't want to rely your $1 million project on one developer who's doing this plugin and he's not interested in developing it anymore. So you really need to have a system where you can develop it by yourself or other people developing it. So we decided if your plugin is hosted on GitHub, then you can contribute your plugin into apex.world. And if you're not familiar with GitHub, so Daniel Hochleitner, who did this page, he did a very good explanation how to get your plugin into GitHub and step-by-step guide. And here is the JSON file. This is all what we need from you, a JSON file in your root directory, and then you automatically pulled, I don't know, every hour, I think, I'm not sure. So, and you see we have a lot of plugins already in it, and the grayed out plugins means we have problems in refetching them. So if you find your plugin grayed out, have a look at it, and now I have the background noise again, Martin.
Oh.
Thank you. See, so it means problems fetching the plugins, but other than that, you can like or unlike the plugin, and you can get a notification. If you use this plugin in your project and the developer comes out with a new version of the plugin, you get an email, an automatic email that there's a new version out and you can install it in your project. And we started with the card view because it looks very nice, and then we found out, it's very popular. So now we have also a report view that's easier to look for. Then we have all the filters up there and searching capabilities, and we even want to have a single record view on this side so that you can filter the plugins on the overview side and go through step by plugin by plugin in the detail side. So this is the way I'm like to browse the plugins, just to see a screenshot to get an idea what is this all about. Right. So let's move on to community. Here we have all the members of the community.
Sorry, Jürgen, just one quick thing on the plugins.
Yeah.
For those that are looking to develop plugins, I just want to add in one or two things that might help. One is the whole concept is taken after that NPM model. If you've done Node applications, we're really looking, that's where that JSON file structure comes from. The other thing, and it might help out, is when you paste that URL, you must have a tagged version of your plugin. So just posting the JSON and putting your code up on GitHub is one thing, but then you have to tag a release for the site to work. And that was something that I ran into as a personal issue. And once that was cleared up, it made a lot of sense. So if it's your first version of the plugin, just create release like 1.0.0, and then the site will work and pick it up.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, community, right now we have 817 registered members. You can filter them by country if you look for somebody, or maybe you want to find somebody in your city or in your state, in your country. You can filter it by companies or persons only. Simple report. And we also have now pretty new the members map, which shows, of course, the location of all the Apex developers, and see the yellow ones are companies and the red ones are persons. Same filtering options. Then we have a chart where we see the top 30 most Apex developers in the world, done by Carsten, very nice. The D3 chart. We have a fan shop already. So if you're wondering where do I get this nice Apex t-shirts, mugs, or umbrellas, here you can get them. There are 2 stores out there. There's a US store, you can get them, or a European store. And we also have the stickers. I do the stickers, and if you want to have stickers, just write me an email and tell me exactly what you need. You see, we have different sizes now and different colors. Say, I want 5 red stickers, the big red stickers, Apex, and we have the small ones which are fitting on a mobile device, or we also have apex.world stickers out there now. And this is a 6+ for just for the sizing, but it also fits on a regular iPhone, for example. So this is all the fan shop, and I think there will be more out because Adrian posted today. Let me look up here in Twitter. Here we see Adrian posted something that he did a 3D model of the Apex logo. And he will publish this 3D model on apex.world too, so you can print out, if you have a 3D printer or somebody has one, you can print out fancy stuff in 3D with Apex. Other than that, we have interesting links or very important links like apex.oracle.com, the OTN. We have the forum, of course. So quick links. We have a podcast. If you don't know, there is an Apex podcast out there. It's hosted by Martin and myself. So we have some, I don't know, 7 people out there already. The last one was Chris Rice. You can download the podcast here directly, or you can, of course, go to iTunes and subscribe to iTunes. And we also have other links which goes to other interesting Apex stuff. So this is so far what we have in apex.world, and this is just the beginning. So remember, it's not our page and we decide what we bring out there. It's just see it as our community homepage. And you are part of the community. Right now we have already more than 800 people. And you see on meetups we have 1,400 people. So I guess we should be at least 2,000 people in apex.world. And if you have a good idea, and I got a lot of feedback, if you want to write a feedback, please, if you're not registered, then I don't get your name on the feedback and I can't answer you. So if you're not registered and want to leave a feedback, write your email on the bottom of the text so that I can get in contact to you. And if you have any idea how we can enhance and improve it, we got a lot of good ideas, and it's already a totally different, not a totally different, but an enhanced version of apex.world. We did a lot of improvements because of your very good feedback. So let us know what you miss, what you want. Any idea is welcome. Then at the end, let's go to Slack. I think this is the most interesting part, if I may say that. We started with our own chat solution, and it was nice, and it was ready to go. And
I'm laughing at this because this is one of our areas of disagreement when we started it.
Oh, it was very hard because our chat solution was very nice, very beautiful. It fitted perfectly here. We had a long discussion. Martin came up with the idea. He said, "Have you ever heard about Slack?" I said, "What is Slack? I don't know. I don't care. Don't bother me. I have enough on my plate right now. We have our chat solution, and we talked about this for a very long time." But that's the good point. Finally, he convinced me, and I looked into the application, and I'm now a huge fan of Slack, and it's real. It's a real professional. Maybe you want to say something about it.
So Slack is imagine a private chat site, and it's really focused for developers. Mind you, you can use it for any organization. So if you're using Microsoft, you probably have Link, Bit, or Atlassian has something called HipChat. Slack is just another option out there. It just seems to be very popular because it's very simple. It's as obtrusive as you want and as unobtrusive as you want it to be. And the one thing as a developer that I really like, two things actually, is you can paste code in there with some code formatting, which makes it really easy to read. You can drag and drop images. Other than that, it's very similar to all other chat services out there. But again, very good. The other nice thing you can also do is it's free to actually start up. So we've used it for a couple of different communities out there. ODTUG is using it, Insum's using it, or open source is using it. And you can have these great private conversations without having to worry about, well, who's using AOL or not AOL, but Microsoft's Messenger, or if you're using Skype or all these different things, it really is agnostic to that, and it works really well with all the different platforms, with Android, iOS, Mac, Windows, Linux, you name it. And the reason why I want to push it for the Apex community is it really opens up to everyone, so we can make it accessible to everyone. We don't have to worry about what platform you're on. So if you only have a Gmail address, you're not limited, or a Hotmail address, you're not limited. And the other cool thing is this channel concept. So imagine what we were talking about before with the hashtags on Twitter that allows you to filter down into a certain area. Channels are really almost like different rooms within that area. I don't know, Jürgen, if you could pop up the screen.
Yeah, let me show you that there is. Hold on.
Are you using the web interface?
Yeah, no,
okay.
Just showing. I want to show that there is not only the web interface, which is great. The web interface is really great, but there are also native applications, desktop applications out there for Mac, Windows, and Linux, and even mobile apps. So for all mobile systems, and they are all great. So you can drag and drop images here. So we have Slack. It's very, very nice. I don't know if you see it. It's very nice user interface, all free. And let me start my Slack desktop application. And here are the different channels. You can.
Jürgen, we're not seeing your Slack. You have it on two windows. We're still seeing the.
Okay, no problem.
The Safari. Maybe you have to drag it in.
Let me switch to here to the web.
Oh, now we're seeing it. Yeah.
Interface. It's exactly the same interface without having this drag and drop stuff. Here you have Martin told us about. We have a lot of channels now. Apex. It's all about Apex. So the channel, the team is called the same as the hashtag, also Apex. And we have different channels you can post and ask questions. General, if it doesn't fit into any others like Dynamic Action, JavaScript Mobile, or RDS and stuff like that. So just post it in the general section. But go ahead. Sorry, you want to explain it?
No, I think you've done that. The other thing too is you can reach out and have personal conversations. You'll see I just messaged Jürgen with I don't think there's anything private above there, but yeah, you can send private messages. So I just messaged Jürgen something. So if you do, let's say you know someone, you've read their blog post, Scott Wesley is coming up on the screen, you bought one of his new books, and you don't know how to reach Scott, but you do want to reach him saying, hey, Scott, I really liked your book, or I found an issue. Could you please explain this? You can actually reach out and direct message people as well, which is really nice way to contact people. And again, don't abuse this. I don't think anyone has to date. No one's spamming, or I'm not getting a lot of crazy messages. And I've had some people also just direct message saying, hey, I just want to say hi. thanks for all the work you're doing. And that's great too, right? It's great to see that openness. And you can reach anyone. Sometimes if I need to talk to Chris Rice, for instance, this is the quickest way for me to get a hold of him. Or Jürgen, you and I have a lot of our conversations now on Slack when we need to get a hold of each other.
We for Apex World, the team, well, we have a private channel. Every user of Apex of Slack can create his own private channel. Yes, and we don't even know, we are administrators, but we don't even know that this private channel is existing. But Adrian is keeping a list. If you want other people to know that there is a private channel out there, you can tell Adrian and he put it on the list, and it's stacked somewhere, it's pinned somewhere in the general section. So see, we have a lot of private channel Apex World. This is where we gather together when we say, okay, I'm bringing out a new version in 30 minutes. Can I put the development environment to production, something like that? So you can use it for your private use, for your work-related stuff. We have different language channels. So I know there's a Spanish channel out there, we have a German channel out there, we have an Austrian channel out there, we have a Munich channel if something is going up with the meetup or in a Munich community. So, and everybody who you have to get invited into this private channel. But once you are invited, you can invite other people. And that's the whole point. So first you have to get invited into the Apex Slack team. But this is automatically happening when you are registering at Apex World, and you check the checkbox, get me an invite. If you forget it, you can do it afterwards all the time. So you don't have to go back and register, something like that. You can always, if you have registered to Apex World, you can get your invite. If you have any problems getting your invite, just send me a mail and I'll get you in. It's no problem.
Or send a feedback if you're not even logged in for whatever reason. Just send a feedback.
Yeah. So
the reason why we have to do that is there's no open sign up on Slack. Unfortunately,
yes.
We can't just leave it open. You have to be invited, and there's some APIs Adrian worked on behind the scenes. That's the whole point of registering as well.
Yeah, Adrian did a great job there. He did the integration, and it was the very, very last thing we decided: can we put it in production in time or not? And he did a great job, and he made it great. Because on Apex World, you see all the channels. Yeah, you can go through all the channels and see what's going on ORDS, and you can only read it, but you have an idea what's going on there. It's more like a teaser. You should really, when you are on Apex, sorry, you can see that. If you are on Apex World anyway, you really should join the Slack channel, and there are all the important people in Slack, like Chris Rice is monitoring ORDS, Stephen Feuerstein is PL/SQL channel, the PL/SQL channel, and of course Joe Kalman, Patrick Wolf, Shakib, and I don't know, if you put out a question or just want to tell the people about something, about anything, like, I don't know, let me see what I found interesting. So he just posted that their WordPress is now having a JavaScript API and get rid of PHP. That's interesting too. So it doesn't have. It's a difference between the OTN forum. So I'm still have to post the guidelines, but the most important thing is, how do we separate the OTN forum from Slack? Actually, we don't have to. If you need to ask something, and you can, sure. The most important thing is, we only have 10,000 messages available, and after that they get deleted. So you can't find the content in a year here. It's just an instant messaging system. It's totally different on the forum. If you want to ask a question and you want to find the answer a year later, or want to have others to contribute, then put it on the forum. But if you don't get an answer there, or if you just want to have a quick chat about something, inform people about something, Slack is a very good channel to do that. And
Jürgen, just in Slack's defense, with that 10,000, that's not a Slack technical constraint.
no,
It's more because we're using the free edition, and part of the free edition is they cap you at 10,000. Now that said, maybe this is a good time. Maybe we should discuss it quickly. I personally think we might need to reach out to Slack and see if we can get them to sponsor this, to give us a free full account, because I think this will reach out. It's good for them and it's good for us right now.
Yeah, it's a good idea, but because otherwise we cannot afford it. A regular account is $8 a month per user. So right now, if we have 1,000 users, it would be $8,000 a month. So maybe Larry thinks about it, buying it and supporting. I don't know.
It's great. Look, I think for a business, this is a very a good expense. However, Apex World, if you haven't noticed it, there are no sponsorships on it. It is entirely, again, for the community, by the community.
Yes. And thanks to everybody who contributing the free time and the passion to make this happen. Thanks to everybody.
And because of that, we don't have the funding to pay for something like that. Of $8,000 a month would be a lot. It would have to come out of someone's pocket at this point. And just be aware of that, so that what we try and do on Apex World is truly keep everything agnostic of, it's really, we're pushing what we think is the best technology or concepts out there. We're not driven or forced to by any given party or individual.
Yeah, you can post videos. It's a very good place to keep in contact with the community.
I don't even know what that video is for. I don't think it's Apex related.
It's a funny thing Trent posted. So it's very informal. It's very responsive, and it's really nice. So I'm checking Slack all the time. And if you have the mobile version, you get notified if somebody mentions you. It's the same thing like you have this ad sign, like in Twitter. If you mention somebody, you get a notification, and it has a lot of functionalities. You can post code, but you shouldn't post a lot of code, but you have I don't know, how do you say that, you can format your code and post it in a separate file. I will put out this user guide soon, but all I can say, I love Slack. It's a great service, great applications, native desktop application, web application. You don't even see a big difference in the native applications, and same goes for the mobile versions for the apps. This is what this feeling of one family really enhances when you use Slack, because you can post out a question and you get an answer very, very soon, and you can discuss about it, which you wouldn't do on Twitter, because that's a totally different concept. If you discuss a topic and 250 people are getting the tweets from me because I'm just interested in a topic, they are not interested in what I'm talking about right now. So I'm very hesitant to post something on Twitter, because I don't want to annoy people who are following me just for business reasons. But here you can share your thoughts, and everybody can read it who is interested in this topic and in this channel, right? So it's a really great experience. So come and join Slack, and come and join Apex World.
And I'm glad you turned around now, Jürgen, and you're the biggest Slack fanboy.
Yeah, I am.
You're so hesitant when we first talked to him.
I'm hard to convince.
Yes, but you're open, and that's what's good. Now, Jürgen, I don't want to keep this on too long so that people watching this aren't going crazy, but I do want to talk about the launch itself, and I really just think this highlights the humanness to the site of it. When we launched, the site on the launch party, I think we had 300 registrants within the first hour, was it? Somewhere 350, and it crashed the site.
Yes.
And the reason why I want to bring this up is I was at the Calgary meetup and I was talking to someone about just installing Oracle and how to get started and things like that. And I was really pushing Apex World, and I was also pushing Oracle XE. And he's like, "Oh, you can't do anything on Oracle XE, and it's not big enough." And I said, "Well," you go, "have you been to Apex World?" He's like, "Yeah, great site, I love it." Like, "What do you think that runs on?" It's like, "Oh, I'm sure it's on some cloud service." And I go, "No, we're running it on Oracle XE on DigitalOcean for $10 a month."
Yes.
And I think that's interesting to people is you don't need, especially if you're new to Oracle or new to Apex and you want to get this private instance working, you don't need a very large budget to get going. And also, I mean, XE also has their limitations. When you have hundreds of thousands of users hitting it all at the same time, we saw it crash on launch day.
There was a problem with the connection pool. We had it on.
Yeah.
We forgot to put it up on the connection pool for ORDS. But once we have done that, it's working fine from now. And I learned a lot from developing this page with all these pros, that we have all the dynamic actions and all the image links going to the database. They all have database hits. So if you reload a page regularly, then you have, for one reload, you have, I don't know, 20 database hits, right? And if you have only 50 parallel connections you have to, it's very interesting to learn how to create a public page in Apex and to maintain it. But as I said, Dan is doing all the heavy lifting there. He helps us and Carsten too. So I'm not a DBA, never will be. So I'm very thankful that we have these technical guys and who understand everything in detail.
And hopefully we'll see a blog come out from Apex World in the future of how we built Apex World, because I think there was a lot of great learning experiences that come across that. These are not problems abnormal to Apex World of how do you handle hundreds of hits on large public applications, and now we've got some solutions out there that we can make readily available for everyone.
For sure, yeah. All the Slack integration.
Yep.
If you have any questions about Apex World and how we did something, let us know. Give us feedback how we can enhance the site, how we can make it even better. And yeah, it's a project by the community for the community. So it's our homepage. Let us know what you need. And Perfect. We are happy to discuss it in our team. And we did a lot of changes by now, and I'm happy to do even much more.
Great. Well, thank you, Jürgen. I know you've really spent a lot of time on this and driven the ship on it, and thank you to everyone that helped participate in developing the Slack, or not Slack, but the Apex World site, and also for everyone just joining. If that's the only thing you can do, that's great. That's what we want to do. We want to get Apex out there, and just go to the site, log in, and there's a lot of benefits for logging in, and participate as much as you can.
Yeah, thanks. A little follow-up, guys. One simple functionality: when you click on an image, then you see the user profile from this guy. Example here is Scott, and also his skills, and he was a former Apex product manager, so he probably knows everything about everything in Apex. And if you have registered with the same email address, then you can do the same when you click on the image on Slack. And you probably should register anyway with the same email address, because if you click invite for Slack, then the same email address is used. That's all.